tell I play like a little girl though.
What do you mean?
Barely playing.
No, what that is that's called control, bro.
So is.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, now, Detroit bass players, we got my man Shawn May over here. What's up, man? You are a Detroit bass player, but you're also basically a Detroit bass builder, right? And when did you start playing bass?
I was 16. Tail end of junior high into high school, big thing for me and my buddies was skateboarding. Everything was skateboarding. And I had a buddy that broke his ankle at the beginning of the summer, which is like the worst thing that could possibly happen to someone that skates. So to pass the time, his dad bought him a guitar. My dad is actually a bass player, but I, for whatever reason, just didn't really take to the interest of playing. You know, I was like watching perform, I like going to shows and seeing, you know, the crowd's reaction. I wanted to be up there so bad, but I just never really considered playing. Until my buddy that broke his ankle said, hey, your dad's a bass player, why don't you go grab his bass and grab his amp? So here's me, you know, 90 pounds, and I've got, you know, my dad's homemade 15-inch cabinet, you know, weighs as much as I do, and his Fender Jazz Special. And didn't know how to hold it or anything. Took it over to my buddy's house. And so, you know, put it in my lap and, you know, took my hand, here, hit this note, and he hit the same note. I'm like, wow, we're playing music. And from that moment on, skateboards went in the closet, and it was on from there.
Okay, that's what made you start. Did you get to start listening to other bass players, or back then? When did you start listening to other basses and finding out what the bass was happening with it?
Well, I'm still doing that to this day. I've never really been on the player side of things that I have the most appreciation for, you know, what I call the players. But I've always been more like a rock guy. I think it's my excuse to not be as good of a player that I should be. It's like, I just like the rock stuff. It's, you know, simpler. Like Shawn said earlier, early on, Rush was a big one for me, and it wasn't. The funny thing is, I didn't notice the bass right away. I came home from school one day, woke up, I had the radio on, and they were playing 2112, and this particular part of the song, it wasn't real bass heavy. But for whatever reason, it sparked an interest, and I just sat straight up and, okay, I got to go to the CD store and get, you know, the entire catalog, which you know, included like 30 CDs.
You know, and actually, just let me throw this in. Rush was one of the reasons that I started to care about what music had to say. It was actually, I was driving around with my mother, I remember this clearly, like back in the late 80s, and we were listening to Tom Sawyer. And, you know, I'm kind of like mumbling along with the lyrics, I didn't know them all. My mother was like, you know, that's what they're talking about. I'm like, what do you mean? It didn't even really occur to me that people talked about things that made any difference in a song. And then, and she was like, well, yeah, they're comparing sort of Tom Sawyer, this traditional youth, to a modern day, that's what he's talking about, you know, modern Tom Sawyer, blah, 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 blah. And so that really got me into Rush as far as music in general. And it's funny that I didn't really get into playing for years, though, but I was still, like, so into the music itself. I remember
hearing Tom Sawyer, I was probably 8 years old, and driving around with my dad, and, you know, he, you know, tapping the steering wheel and jamming out or whatever, and I'm thinking to myself, man, that woman can sing really high. But yeah, later on, once I started, you know, learning more on the instrument, then I started, you know, appreciating more of his playing, you know, as I got into him. And another one for me early on was Les Claypool of Primus. And as many people that want to say, oh, you know, he's kind of the not fake, but, you know, again, he's just not like the player. The thing I like about him is he takes traditional techniques and puts his twist on them. You know, he'll slap along with anybody, but the notes that he picks and the rhythms and things like that are just so odd and just so interesting to me that that's really the big two that I can quote. And again, you know, I went out and bought early on. I went and bought you know, Jaco CDs and Pastorius and basically everybody that you had mentioned earlier. And again, you know, I can appreciate the playing, but after a while, I like to hear a song. I like to hear what a bass player can contribute to a song in its entirety.
Right.
Instead of it just being, one long solo. And again, I have the most appreciation for that. It's just not necessarily my style.
I'm the same way. So, so do you play with anybody now?
Actually, I haven't played professionally in about 10 years. I'll still tell people that I've been a bass player for 18, but about the last decade, it's been more concentrating on building. That's all I have time for.
Right, and that's a good. That's. I'm glad you bring that up. The observant viewer will see right to your left. We got a couple of basses over there. Talk about those in a second. Like I said, I met you at Guitar Center. That's where you work at, right?
Yep. Just about 10 years now.
And which one is that?
It's one in Canton on Ford Road.
And what do you do up at the Guitar Center in Canton?
I'm an assistant manager. Still in sales, so if anybody wants to buy anything, please come find me. I have to eat too, and as you can see.
And I always send my students or anybody that come my way wanting to buy musical instruments, I always send them to Guitar Center.
Well, we try to be, we try, to have a community focus instead of just being just a store. Actually getting out and doing things with the community, whether just as something as small as I'll go see one of my customers' bands. That goes a long way. You gotta remember we're musicians too, so we're right there with with everyone else.
That's pretty cool.
That's good.
Now, so you basically you say you've been building basses. Now, I first saw one of your basses the other day. I'm gonna just show a little piece of it. That's all y'all get to see for right now. On this page called the Detroit Bass Players page. But when did you get on there? How did you find out about that? What happened?
I was invited by Craig Stoney.
Oh,
I believe he was one of the
founders.
Yeah, the founder. I was friends with him on Facebook and said, hey, you got to come check out this page I'm doing. And I liked it so much that I started asking around, because again, working there, I know so many bass players in the area that anybody that I had their phone number, I could text them or whatever. Man, I still to this day, man, you want Detroit bass players? Okay, you have to join.
Me too. I insist that you join.
Kerry's the guy who got me. Actually, when I think about it.
Yeah.
What's really surprising, I actually grew up in Cleveland. I've been here about 10 years now. I know you live there as well.
Yeah.
And you probably know this. There's not even close to as many bass players there as there are here. It's for my first week when I started working at the store. I had 40, 50, and big name players come through there. I'm just like, where are they coming from?
Exactly.
It's mind-boggling.
It's a different culture in Cleveland. Similar but different.
Well, growing up as a bass player at an early age, we had maybe 3 guys. If it wasn't this guy on bass, it was this guy or this guy, and that was it. And that's all we had. Here, I'm still learning about these new bass players I've never heard of. I've been here
right, yeah,
so many.
And I'm going to try to interview every single last one of them.
You're going to be doing it a long time.
Yeah,
we was talking about
that's going to be the fun part. But check this out. So you play bass, you build basses, you work at a Guitar Center. Let's go back to building basses. Over here we got at least 3 in production basses that you're building, right?
These are 3, yes.
Can we take one of them at a time and just talk about what's going on?
Well, we'll start with, I guess, the closest one to me. This is what I call, it's a DC 5 fretless double cut, 5-string fretless. This particular one is 28, I guess 28 position, because you can't really say frets. They do have, or will, when it's done, it will have fiber optic lights on the side dots here, which is great for fretless.
Awesome.
I'm not the greatest fretless player, and I guess it would make things easier if you could see where you're actually playing. Very lightweight. It's
yeah, I felt that it's very lightweight.
Weighs nothing. It's a Spanish cedar body, mahogany maple wingate neck, curly buckeye top, ebony fretboard, which is a must on a fretless here.
Okay, so do you have your own company that you build basses for? Do you build basses for anybody?
Well, yeah, it's my company to make custom basses. I am an LLC. It's just me. I don't have any employees or anything like that. So If you need to yell at me for something, it would be me.
So how do we get in contact with you then?
Well, either through Facebook. I have
Detroit Bass Players.
Detroit Bass Players, my own personal page, SHAWN, May, like the month. Or you can look at May Custom Basses on Facebook as well. Did I mention the website? www.maycustombasses, M-A-Y, custombasses.com.
Okay, that's cool. What's this other one you got?
This one here is actually, it's a gift to my girlfriend. I'm a sucker for mid-70s jazz basses, even though it's not necessarily the golden era. I got a thing for them. So for Christmas, she got me a '77 jazz. So I'm trying to repay, the gift. This is a DC4. This is a Koa top, walnut purple heart neck, again ebony fretboard, and I've got the matching Koa blocks here. This will also have the lights in the fretboard. The benefit of making her a bass is it will stay with us at my house, so it's just as much mine as it is hers. So I finally enjoy one of my own instruments here.
Yeah, that's nice. And again, I felt that is real lightweight, man. And you say when you add the electronics and strings, it's not a significant weight gain.
It really doesn't add a lot. I guess more in the bridge than anything. Pickups, not much.
What kind of bridges are you using with your...
Hipshot hardware, typically, unless, because this is all customer choice here, so if someone comes to me and wants a different bridge or different pickups or what have you, if I'm able to do it, I will do so.
Okay, I know some of our viewers is like me, that in this shot we got that monstrosity over there, so can we pull this out and talk about it? I know this is the one I made my comments on Facebook, Detroit Bass Player page, and what I said to you was, okay, you talked me into it, I will gladly endorse your basses.
Can you see me okay back here?
Yeah, I can see a little bit of you. The bass is taking up.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
This is the Beast. This is the SC9 single cut 9-string, yes, 9. Which isn't nearly as lightweight as the other ones, but there's a lot more wood in this one.
But that's still light.
It's like a tree.
I guess for as big as it is, it's
that's
manageable.
Still light, yeah.
That's great.
Alder core maple purple heart neck. Just a Buckeye burl top, maple board, purple heart binding. Kanji symbol for the number 9. That was my idea. As hokey as it may seem, I think it looks cool.
It does. Wow, man. So, if somebody wanted to purchase these basses from you, you say, what do you call them? Made basses?
Made custom.
Made custom basses, or you build guitars as well, or what?
I wouldn't advertise that. I guess I would. Well, here's my philosophy. I'm a bass player. I'm awful with guitar. I'm probably not the greatest judge of how a guitar should feel. But I have made them before, but I don't necessarily advertise that.
You dig. So okay, so basically you're a bass builder. Now, how much would something like this 9-string, I know they're all custom made and the prices are going to vary each bass, but ballpark, how much would something like this run me? Because
of the extreme nature of this, more materials and custom made parts, things like that, maybe about $3,000. Okay. And that's on the upper end of things. On average for a 4 to a 6 string, anywhere between 22 and 28. Okay, and so like this 5-string here, that's not for sale, but somebody wanted something similar in this this fretless here, fretless 5, right? Yeah. That's, how much? 24. 24. And because again, because it is custom, like you said, there are so many options that are customer picked. Right. I'm using the what I call the good stuff. I prefer Kent Armstrong pickups. They're the same as what they use in the Ken Smith basses, Hipshot hardware. Your choice of preamp, like Pope, Aguilar, Audier, name it. Right. I'll use it. Well, what about woods, man? Where do you get these exotic woods from? Everywhere. Everywhere. Name it. Cambodia? Sure. That is just, it's just weird
as much as I love bass and bass players, is never really thought about what goes into building one. Even though I've created my own Frankenstein, but that seems like it's a lot of stuff that goes into building. How long did it take you to why did you start building them? How long did it take you to get it right, you know?
I'm still getting it right.
Still,
and I think it's just an ongoing process. It's like saying, you know, to a player, have you reached perfection yet? ask any of the big names, the Federa, the George Berlinettos.
They're still striving.
If they're satisfied with. Well, I'm sure they're satisfied, but
they're still striving.
Right. They're still striving. They're still, you know, going for that perfect instrument.
Right. Well, what made you decide to start building basses?
It's not even that great of a story, but because I get asked so much. Right out of high school, I was living with my dad and my stepmom, and she liked to go to the library. Love books, love reading. It was an all-day event, so I had to find something to keep myself busy. So I went with her one day, and you know, she went off and did her thing, and I said, well, what's here for me? Music section. Started thumbing through, and I saw make your own electric guitar. Well, that seemed interesting enough, so I pulled it out and started reading through it, and checked it out for you know, a week, and renewed it for another week, and renewed it for another week, and when it comes to building, I'm very methodical. Very, I plan and I plan and I plan and I plan and I plan. So it took me a while to really build up the nerve and the confidence to do that. And so I did it. I just went for it. I didn't try like mock-ups or anything like that. I went out and bought the good stuff right off the bat, and just kind of figured it out at that point. Because I had no previous experience other than high school wood shop.
Right.
And the first one that I made, I can't even say that I 100% completed it. Came out a lot better than I expected. A lot better. Enough so to keep the confidence level up to work on the next one, the next one, the next one. The first one I made was a 5-string. The band I was in at the time, we got signed to a major label, and I got put in the back burner and just sat there for a long time. And when I revisited it, not that I had lost interest in it, I just wanted to work on something new. And I had so much time into that one, it was just, I got sick of looking at it, really. That one ended up on eBay and passed through so many hands until someone actually completed it. I got to the point where it had strings on it, it was playable, but no electronics.
Yeah.
And I actually received an email recently, within the past year, of the current owner of that instrument, and he wouldn't stop raving about it. And I couldn't really say thanks because I didn't finish it, you know, 100%. So, well, I can make you another one if you'd like. So that's the backstory of why I started building. It wasn't out of necessity or anything like that. I just found it interesting.
Good. Well, man, you know what? I really appreciated doing this interview with you on behalf of another Detroit bass player, myself. I really appreciated doing the interview with you as well, Shawn. And Reggie over there, thank you for letting us use your bass house to do this bass stuff. Any questions you guys might have for this fine bass builder here? You want to buy one or something?
So 9-string for around 3? Really? Really? Oh my.
That's the thing. That's the good thing about doing a 9-string too, is that it's from this point. Now I can kind of say, okay, well at least I can make a 9. You want a 7? Great. You want an 8? No problem. You want a 10? I don't know. We'll see how it turns out, but so that's on the extreme side of things.
That's awesome.
On average, how long does it take you to complete it?
It depends on the time of year, how many orders I have at that time, and people have to remember that I have a 40-hour week minimum job. So this is what I do on my days off. I put more time a day into doing this kind of stuff than I do at the store.
How many have you sold so far?
Completed, I've got 22 under my belt.
Wow.
Which might not sound like a lot, but again,
sounds like a lot to me.
Just being, you know, me in the past few years. But each year, I'm increasing production. Instead of working on one at a time, right now I'm working on 6 at a time. So it might take a little bit longer from start to finish, but for, let's say, the 6th person, they're going to receive that instrument sooner than if I were to do it one at a time.
Right. That's good. Anybody we know? Any Detroit bass players, customers? Anybody we know?
Probably a few. I did one recently for Bill Washington. He's a newer player out of Southfield. He's got it's surprising. He walks in the store one day and you know, purchases a typical starter instrument, and the following month I think he bought a Stingray. And then a couple of Lembics. So I mean, he's in it now. I mean, it's under his skin. He's a player, and he approached me knowing that I build, and I did him a 5-string camphor burl, and he's already talking about doing a second one.
Nice. Was that the low one that you had the picture of on the page?
Probably.
Yeah,
Probably.
That was a nice little bass.
I did one for actually the second bass I ever did was for Gabe Burton. I think he's in the Ypsi area. He kept it for a few years, and traded with someone over in like Hong Kong. So now I can say I'm international.
There you go.
Okay, that's good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, another Detroit bass player. Not only a bass player, he's also a bass builder and a fine basses over here. And we're gonna let Shawn take us out with our interview with Shawn.
That's right.
I mean, real simple stuff.
A lot of times. Oh, brand new killer sound. I took a bell and hung myself. Hung up in the environment all this wrong. They left and stood around. Came back from the grocery store, only to find them hanging in the apartment way. That's a lot. That's cool.